Hello, it's the Great Canadian Bagel here, coming to you with the first, albeit a bit lame, update to the Quebec provincial election forecasting series. Now, it is a bit lame. I don't have a map today because no matter what I've done online, I could not find a free use or open license map that I could edit that looked good. All the ones I could find looked awful or were out of date. I spent a lot of time with a 2014 map only to realize the writings are redrawn sometime before 2018. So couldn't use that. All the stuff I've seen so far either looks terrible, so I wouldn't want to use it, or it's not open license, so I can't use it. I'm working on it, but that's future new problems. For now, though, we can talk about what the model results are. I won't carry this one. I'm going to aim to keep this one a bit shorter because I don't have a map to point out, but you have a spreadsheet. You should be used to this by now if you're watching this channel. So where is Quebec right now? Well, so right here, this is the 2018 results, and I will note these percentages are going to be slightly off the real percentages because lack better reason. I don't want to bother count how many actual electors there are and change these numbers here. Like, these are the number of people who can vote in these, I believe, in these jurisdictions that I have just drawn. I mean, I would like to break rest of Quebec into more areas, but this is what the polling gives me. I don't have more than this, but this is the census data, population for each of these, but the actual voters for 2018 are significantly less, so these percentages are not going to be exactly right. It's a first order approximation. I think it's right to the first decimal place, typically, but not 100% correct. That doesn't really matter. This is more illustrative to tell us how this looks. So, what has changed, really? Well, other, which does include the Green Party. I don't have Green separate here because they don't have any seats and they're not polled frequently enough in separately in polling, so there's just really no point in separating them. And even when they are polled separately, like sometimes Angus Reid will release it and they're only getting like 1-ish%. So not a lot of data. The data that does exist is not a lot, and they have no seats, so there's just don't really see the point to breaking them out. But at this point, what we see is others down a little bit. The Quebec Conservative Party is up by a factor of 10, which is quite steep, to say the least. Parti Quebecois has lost about half its support, down to about 8.8 from 16.7. Quebec Solitaire is down a little tiny bit, 2%. CAQ is up a ton, about 7.5%. And the Liberals are down about 9. And then you look at breakdown regionals here. Very favorable picture for the CAQ. So we go seat trend, and I will zoom in here just so it's a bit easier to read this. Last election, we see here, the Quebec Solitaire and Quebec Liberal Party have both lost quite a few seats in Montreal. And for the most part, have been wiped out of the rest of the province. Now, Quebec Solitaire still clings on to the centermost ridings of Quebec City, of Tascheron and Jean-Louison. My pronunciations are going to be probably even worse than previous, because my French is not particularly good. Forgive me, whatever. If I have any Quebecers watching this, you get what you get. Parti Quebecois is set to lose all of their seats. Now, I know 338 Canada's projection does have the Parti Quebecois clinging on to remove Matapan. One of the ridings in the Gaspé Peninsula. I can't exactly think of the exact name. My model has that candidate just narrowly clinging on. Perhaps 338 Canada is correct in its projection there, but I'm not sure what math is going on leading to that result. Obviously, his model's not the same as mine, but I don't really see how that's happening. I'm confident-ish in my model. I say ish because C projections have never been what my model's really good at. I keep trying to fix this. It's a work in progress. My model is definitely better at projecting popular votes than it is C projections. Though, I will note, this now is factoring the main lesson I have sought from the Ontario election, so I am now forecasting or trying to factor in rural-urban. I might remove that later on, depending on how much data I can get for it, because Angus Reid is the only one in Quebec specifically who's forecasting rural-urban, or at least publishing the data. So if I don't have enough pollsters, or conversely, enough data points, I might just drop it. I'm not terribly fussed if a party, or if one pollster is providing a lot of one data source. For example, Main Street provides a lot of the income data. Angus Reid and Ipsos, other people also do that, but Main Street is generally the most frequent poller in Canada for how much data they publish. But as long as you get past a critical threshold and you have enough polls, one polling source is not that big a deal. The big issue is if you have one polling source and not a lot of data points, the margin of error that can occur is quite high, because right now I really only have two, for Quebec specifically, I only have two data points for rural-urban. One from January and one from March. Now, if I go look at even older Angus Reid polls, I could get more of them, but the farther back you go, the kind of less relevant they are. And in the last 7 months or so, the Quebec Conservative Party has skyrocketed in the polls. So I think my model right now is underestimating them, because one of my main criteria, rural-urban, doesn't have a lot of data points, and the most recent data point is quite old, of March, and we are in June. So, I'm playing this by ear, and I'm going to keep it for now. I might use my executive privilege as the person who does all of this work, and I might remove it later. If I do remove it, I will make it very clear in a video that I have removed a criteria that I'm using for lack of data. We'll see going forward. So, overall here, this election looks like it's going to be a blowout. Unfortunately, I don't have a nice, beautiful visual for you guys to look at, but we can even just see here in seat projections. The Quebec Liberals are about to get absolutely trashed. They're losing half the seats in Montreal, almost all the seats in the rest of the province. I don't have the by demographic data offhand here. Actually, let's see if I can pull it off on my other monitor here. Sorry for the delay. The biggest thing for the Quebec Liberals is they are just getting absolutely ruined among francophones. They are currently sitting at, in the province of Quebec, just shy of 9% support among francophones. They have 50 versus the CAQ has 53% support among francophones. And that's really why we have this point here where the Quebec Liberal Party is just getting trashed. Their leader, Dominic Anglade, doesn't really seem to have a vision for the party at all. She's kind of waffling back and forth. For a while, she was somewhat courting the nationalistic, soft nationalists. At other points, she's been trying to cater to the Quebec Liberals' traditional federalist base. At one point, she was trying to move to a more identitarian, woke position, whereas the Quebec Liberal Party has traditionally been kind of a centrist federalist party. It is affiliated with the Federal Liberals, but it's not. It's more centrist typically from the Federal Liberals because a lot of conservatives historically have voted with the Quebec Liberal Party. However, with the rise of the Quebec Conservative Party, again, I mean, it existed before, but it's now back again. It seems like a lot of the federal conservative voters are now going and supporting the Quebec Conservative Party. Not that surprising. And of those who aren't, it seems a lot of them are supporting the CAQ. Because keep in mind, the federal conservatives, surprisingly enough, do much better with francophones in Quebec than the federal Liberals do as a proportion of vote share. And francophones are much more likely to support soft or hard nationalist positions, and the CAQ has basically just absorbed soft nationalism. The Parti Quebecois is still the hard nationalist party, and it seems, especially if you look at polling, hard nationalism is on the decline. The support for actual secession is not insubstantial, but relatively low. I believe it's in the 30 to 40 range, depending on the poll. So the hard national support is subsiding. And I imagine some money of the sovereigntist voters and a potential referendum would be the soft nationalists as well. So the CAQ really has just completely absorbed most, if not all, of the soft nationalist position. And really is eroding away at the hard nationalist position. Like we see here, the CAQ's almost up the exact amount that the Parti Québécois are down. They're down about 8 percentage points. CAQ's up about 8 percentage points. There's some rounding, yes. That's not a coincidence. The Parti Québécois voters are going to the CAQ. A lot of the Liberal voters that they've lost about 10 percentage points. A lot of them are going to the party, the Conservative Party of Quebec. See here, they're up 10.8 percentage points in Montreal. Oh, coincidentally, the Liberals in Montreal are down almost 10.8 percentage points. Actually, it is 11.3. Wow. Who'd have thunk? So, the lesson, or at least what seems to be the narrative going into this election, and what we should keep an eye out for those people interested in this kind of thing, or Quebecers, if I have many of you in my audience, which I'll be super happy if I do have numerous amounts, because it'll be great for the interaction on videos. I'm not entirely expecting many because my French skills are non-existent. But maybe the bilingual Quebecers will carry me. Let me know. But the thing to look into in this election, and the narrative that seems to be emerging, is the death of the two legacy parties of Quebec, the Parti Quebecois and the Quebec Liberal Party, who have dominated the province since about the mid-70s. Or is it the mid-60s? Doesn't matter. The mid-20th century. They've dominated the province. Parti Quebecois is nearly dead. It is effectively on life support, and if this does happen, where they lose all of their seats, I don't think the party will survive very long. And in fact, recently, they've had a bunch of high-profile defections. Now, I can't remember the names of the people, but, well, they still defected. Which is further going to demoralize the party. The party leader of the Parti Quebecois wasn't even invited to a nationalist conference in Quebec City recently. And in polling, Parti Quebecois supporters, the few that are left, don't even really like their own leader. Their own leader gets like 30 to 40% support for Prime Minister from Parti Quebecois, or Premier, sorry, from Parti Quebecois supporters. Parti Quebecois supporters like Legault more than Plamondon. Again, apologies if pronunciations are off. I do my best. So the Parti Quebecois is really just on life support. Quebec Liberal Party, they have a better position because they do have a much stronger base in at least one part of the province, which is Montreal. The issue is, and I really think this isn't necessarily a brand problem for the Quebec Liberal Party, I think it's a leader problem. Dominic Anglais just has no idea what she's doing. She looks like, from the outside, just a complete political opportunist, coming in and just mucking around and moving all over the place politically, not really sticking to a clear viewpoint, a clear principles, a clear message. The most poignant example of this is recently in Quebec. The Quebec Liberal Party, for a little bit, they backed out of it, was supporting some of the proposals of Bill 96. Bill 96 in Quebec. And in fact, I believe they wanted an amendment to make it even harsher for I can't remember the subcategory. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a couple weeks since that was news. But the specifics don't actually matter. The principle that matters here is that the Quebec Liberals supported some of these soft nationalist language laws. Now, let's go back for a second. The Quebec Liberals have 9% support among Francophones. They have 21% among Anglophones. Non-Francophones, because there could be people of other, Hindi or whatever. There's plenty of language spoken in Montreal from immigrants. And their main base is Montreal. So they're courting a group of people that have, yes, Francophones are 80% of the province of Quebec. More or less. But courting Francophones by supporting soft nationalist language laws at the expense of your actual already existing base is insanity. Because first, a soft nationalist voter in Quebec is not going to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to vote Legault now. The Liberals, they also support soft nationalist positions like Bill C-90 or Bill 96. Well, let's do that. No, the soft nationalist voter is still going to vote for the CAQ. You're not poaching them from the CAQ. Not until at least Legault loses their confidence. So you're not gaining votes that way, and you're alienating your existing base because you're objectively betraying them. So, what? Just that alone doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what she was thinking, what her party was thinking. It is just lunacy. And that really seems to be the problem with the Quebec Liberal Party. Now, even if this election does happen, they go down to 13 seats, that's not the end of the world for them. They can come back. But the issue really seems to be for them right now is they have a leader who doesn't have a vision or plan for what the party should be. And that is going to see the party get destroyed. One of the worst things for any governing body is to have leaders without a vision. That's one of the principal reasons why the Quebec Conservative Party seems to be gaining a lot of ground. Now, a lot of it was boosted from notoriety from Claire Sampson publicly defecting after comically donating money to them and getting kicked out of her party, the CAQ, which perfectly reasonable for the CAQ to kick out a candidate for donating to a different political party, but also one of the most hilarious things in Canadian politics I've ever seen. An incumbent MP for a party donating money to another party, not crossing the floor, just donating money, and then only crossing the floor once they've been evicted from their own party. What a weird circumstance. But you have high-profile events like that, and the Quebec Conservative Party's been, to my understanding, the only party in Quebec challenging the Legault government on coronavirus measures. Which, frankly, is quite shocking because the Legault government has been one of the most draconian, authoritarian regimes in Canada when it comes to COVID measures. I mean, they introduced 8 p.m. curfews in Montreal. The virus doesn't work after 8 p.m. The virus only works after 8 p.m. How does that make any sense? What? It also to lunacy like that. And they were really the only party challenging that. And that brought them a lot of notoriety and a lot of support from people who were against that. The real challenge for the party at this point, going into the summer and the fall, when the election's going to be, is can they build on that number? First off, can they retain those voters? And can they gain ground? Now, I don't think retaining it should be very difficult because anyone who was upset with Legault or the Quebec Liberals or the Quebec Solitaire or whatever over those measures, there's no really good reason why they should go back to supporting those parties unless they very publicly change their stance, which I don't think any of them have been. So there's no really good reason for them to migrate back. And the other important thing is once there is in any political system, but in particular first past the post, there is this threshold where you have enough support to be considered credible by voters, so voters are more willing and more able to support you, or more aware of you to support you. Nobody would have supported the PPC if it wasn't for the fact Maxime Bernier was a notable person. Makes sense. the PCQ have existed for, I believe, 30 years. Sometimes they go defunct, sometimes they come back. This is the first time they really are having any traction in the polls. But once they get that traction, they get the message out, they get the words out, it's sort of self-fulfilling, self-propagating. Because other people can see your message who will be sympathetic to it and then realize, oh, you exist. Oh, and you could possibly win. So I'm going to vote for you. And especially in the case of Quebec, this is even more effective than, say, some of the splinter parties that you see in Ontario or federally, like the PPC. Because, frankly, in Quebec, you have a centrist party, which sometimes skews left-wing identitarian right now. You have a socialist party. You have a hard nationalist social democratic party. And you have a soft nationalist center-rightish party. So if you are right-wing and you're not a nationalist, there's no party to vote for. So all of those voters who are right-wing and not a nationalist, you now have a brand new party you can vote for. Huzzah. Furthermore, there are going to be right-wing soft nationalists and right-wing hard nationalists who are upset with the draconian nature of Legault's lockdowns. Boom. I have a political home now. You're going to have voters who might be more centrist, who are upset with the Quebec Liberals for waffling and flip-flopping and suggesting that they're going to support some of these language laws. Oh, now they have a vehicle that is not nationalist, to my understanding, that doesn't, as far as my understanding, support these language laws. There you go. You now have a vehicle for it. In a way, the Quebec Conservative Party is not just absorbing the support of the people who are angry about the lockdowns. In a lot of ways, it's harnessing the support of the people who are angry at the political status quo in Quebec. And it turns out there's a lot of them. The other thing to consider, too, is Quebec, unlike many provinces, it's even easier for a brand new party to do something, come out of nowhere and create a thing, because Quebec voters are the least loyal voters in Canada. They will vote. They are so willing to switch their vote. Which, I will note, I don't think is actually a bad thing. I think that is a virtue of Quebecers. Party loyalty, in general terms, I think has only downsides to voters. You should always vote for the party you think is going to best represent you. That, in your head, might feel like you're anti-voting for someone else, but however you understand it in your head, or however you rationalize it to yourself, voting for the party that best represents you is how you should do it. You should not vote for the party because you voted with this party for 20 years. That doesn't make any sense. If they no longer best represent you, that's not a good plan. This is also to say, though, that if you, let's say you're a right-wing Canadian, voting for PPC doesn't, because you like them more or you feel like they better represent you politically, is not always a better solution. It can be, but part of best represents you is also how likely they're going to win your riding. So there's a lot of consideration to make. Quebecers seem to be very willing to do that. But with that, I will wrap that up here. Turns out this went a bit longer than I expected. It is what it is. At this point, I've kind of contented myself to the acceptance that this my channel is more of a podcast that occasionally has things that you can look at, and I hope my viewers use it like that. Maybe one day, when I have either more time or more resources, I can have more fancy visuals. But for now, I have neither, so we get what you get. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, comment below what you think is going to happen. If you are really interested in following the Quebec election, make sure you press that subscribe button so you can get all the updates for the series going forward. I can't give you a timetable on updates. My rough hope is once a month until September, and then it'll probably more frequently. I just don't expect many polls in July and August. But we will see. As like a lot of my series, I will update more as I have more polls. Well, if I have polls and they change stuff enough, or I have stuff to talk about as well. But with that all said, I will bid you all adieu, and I will see you next time.